Industry Talk with Commercial Vehicle Magazine and Upfront with Auto Components India Magazine. Now, good to have two leaders with a very vast, commendable spectrum of knowledge and exposure. So we will try and get a good mix of both the sides. Let's rewind the clock a little. 2021 was when you transitioned to CEV 4. Now you are quite ready and prepared for CEV 5.
Yes.
I'm sure it has been a mammoth exercise, as any mandate that comes in entails, or if you are again a leader and trying to be ahead of the curve. What did this exercise in specific entail? How did the different group entities synergize, including your tier 1 suppliers down to the last end of the supply chain? How did all of it come together for a CEV5 transition?
But as you know, CV5 transition will happen 1st of January 2025, which is primarily for the compaction, wheel loaders, and motor graders. These are the products that will be impacted, and we are still in the process of finalizing the product and testing and all of that stuff. Of course, the regulation shift, which is from the stage 4 to stage 5, is not just an engine regulation shift. It's of course it was even in stage 4 there was some other safety and noise norms that came in. But in the stage 5 norms that are coming in on 1st of January 2025, it is of course engine emissions going to CEV5. There is also noise regulations. There is the ROPS for the cabin. So the cab safety is one big element around it. There's also electromagnetic testing that which is going to happen on these products. So the compliance requirements are growing enormously. So the testing costs are high, and testing let's say rigor is much higher. So that's something which for Volvo, I would only say this, that our product met many of these requirements from the perspective of design already. Because if you think about ROPS, for example, since Volvo acquired the Ingersoll Rand construction equipment and when we designed and developed and rolled out the first Volvo compactors, they were already ROP structure on them. We were not certifying them, but we were having the structure on them. We never sold a machine without a ROP structure. So in that sense, we have built-in safety in the product, which we need to now comply with in safety. But in terms of the product having features, that was not the biggest of challenges for us. On the engine side, we as we use our joint venture engine here, the VECV engine, and so they were already in the auto side pretty successful with the stage 5, and hence on the Bharat stage 6 there. Here it is stage 5. Actually, the CEV stage 5 is as good as Bharat stage 6. So in that sense, the engines are well tested, and we have adopted them, and it's just moving from the stage 4 to 5, use the same engine platform, but with the additional after treatment systems that are required. When it comes to noise regulations, we were already meeting most of the regulations. We just have to maintain them, and that's not a very big deal. But just testing and all of it is definitely.
Is the testing infrastructure, now that you are dealing with the testing authorities, is that in place for CEVs?
Yes, it is there, and it is also getting further enhanced by all the testing agencies, whether it is ARAI, ICAT. They are all investing into expanding testing capacities. Of course, from the CE industry, we have made a request to the government to invest a bigger CE test center. We call it CEMM test center, construction equipment, material handling and mining equipment test center, for which there's a project report with the Ministry of Heavy Industries that they are sitting on and that they are working with. And ARAI was tasked with to set it up. So the DPR is ready, and now they need to make the decision to invest in it. So that's, I hope, will happen in the time to come, because with CE industry growing the way it is growing, the need for testing is only going to grow, and some of these test facilities can also be used for global needs. Like, for example, I already know that Volvo Group tests many of our battery systems in India, because we have testing facilities in Chennai which are global standards. So,
Now you talk about growth. We've all talked about the recent buoyancy in the Indian consumer sentiment as such at large. But it is also true that all the infrastructure development that is happening, a large portion of it is attributed to a very high debt portion. Now, do you feel in the near term that could be a hiccup? Some critics have speculated that the year could see a slightly slowed down activity for the simple reason debt has to be repaid. It's that year where payouts will be higher.
Yeah, well, I think if you think from the perspective of the infrastructure investments, the government has a fairly robust financial plan, in my opinion.
That's good.
And it was laid out by the government already 2.5 years ago when they came up with the national monetization plan,
Right.
which in line with the national infrastructure pipeline. And they are going ahead and doing that. There's not much of a noise around it. There is monetization happening of brownfield projects, and they are
Right.
raising the funds. Today, NHAI or the other agencies, I don't see them struggling for ability to raise funds, and hence I do not see that as a big issue. Bringing in more private capital into the infrastructure space is something that needs to happen, and I hope the InvITs and all of them that are coming in, and there's a lot of dialogue happening between industry, financial institutions, and government in this area. I think the innovations that are necessary for financial development of infrastructure in India is definitely going in the right direction. I am not one of those pessimists who think that we cannot fund our growth. I think our fiscal discipline during COVID has proved that we have ability to manage this huge economy, almost $4 trillion economy today. I mean, I think we should trust that the people are in place, and we have the financial competence as a country
Right.
to deal with it.
Right. Now, before we go deeper into operations, of course, and the product launch and the segment itself, a question on the larger segment again on do you feel there is consumption appetite for new equipment? We are seeing a lot of demand in this particular segment for the rented side, for the used equipment side, and then of course you all come up with a model where you say, now I'm not restricting myself to offering a vehicle, but a complete solution suite around it where the equipment could be hired.
So I think one Indian CE market is now the third largest market in the world. With around last year's data that ICEMA has published is 136,000 units,
Right.
and that does not count some of the exports which are not getting reported in ICEMA. And I understand that it's roughly close to 160,000 if you actually add up all exports of CE equipment from India. So it's a fairly large market, and obviously, there is enough, signs now that the market is maturing. What are the signs of a mature market? The signs of a mature market is when you see that product category starts to be more specialized. We see a lot of growth in the mini equipment, which was not there. Labor was cheaper in India always, but labor costs are going up, and today a 2-ton excavator is also there in the market. There is a 3.5-ton excavator in the market. There is a 5 to 6-ton market. So and then if you look into other things like telehandlers, and these for man lifts, and so many different types of products starting to be developing a big market.
Right.
Just the lifting market is 15,000 units,
Right.
just cranes. So the market is maturing, and then another sign of a mature market is a circularity that is needed for continuation.
Right.
And there the used equipment, trading is becoming more organized.
Right.
Today morning, actually, we signed with Sriram Automall to be an MOU to actually, allow us, our dealers, an additional channel to use for the purpose of trade-in and, to make that happen.
Right.
And I think we will increase our activities there. So, I think the market is maturing. There is new equipment demand is not going to slow down just because this is happening, and I think there is enough potential in the market, and there might be some dips in some particular product categories in some periods of time, but generally the market will grow. I mean, there has been a lot of speculation, backhoe loader market will grow, not grow, and will stop. But you see, backhoe loader market in India last year was 45,000 units.
Right.
Everybody said 35,000 is the max.
Right. So
And I think it's very difficult to call today to what extent. I think because the economic development is very widespread, very deep. Tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 class cities are also there, where is the most of the smaller equipment getting sold? It's in the smaller towns and smaller cities.
Is the cyclicity of the Indian market predictable in the CEV segment? Because it's far more easier to predict a truck and bus cycle, but when it comes to a CEV segment,
we haven't reached that level for sure.
Right.
The truck and bus market is much more mature and
at least
much
there is a
more,
3-year
two-wheeler, three-wheeler also. But I think we are getting there. ICEMA's own vision plan says market in India could touch 250,000 units in 2030. I think when we reach that kind of scale, that's probably we are saying we are similar to US or China in that scale. Then you could potentially say we are reaching that level of predictability.
Right.
But you see, CE market and vehicle markets are very different.
Absolutely.
It's also the volumes. We have much higher number of product sizes than what you have seen in the vehicle market.
Typically more SKUs.
Yeah, so there is a much higher number of variety in CE markets, and hence it's a slightly different ball game than just predicting like a construction commercial.
We are, of course, at the launch of EC210, and the EC series has in general been around for quite some time.
Yes.
This, of course, you've called it the biggest launch for various reasons. You've shown finer nuances where a lot of thought has been spared for improving the product and the value proposition. But if you were to be very objective about the progress of the EC series as a whole from the time perhaps it was incepted or first conceptualized, do you feel it has realized its true potential for maybe 5 years to come, or is there more on the platform that we can expect?
There is always more. Karo zyada ki ummeed.
Yes,
as I say. There is always more.
Yes.
The Volvo launched, as I mentioned there, Volvo launched the excavators in 2000, and it's 24 years since the 25th year running when that our excavators are in the market. And we started with the generation 1, and then we had the B series, we had the B prime, then we came with the D series. And now we have dropped this thing, and we now we just call it EC210. Earlier we used to call it D, and we've changed the way we nomenclate our products, and now it's only called the EC210.
Right.
So when you look at the potential of the product, what it comes with, what are the capabilities we pack in it. So what we found historically is that our products are having much higher specifications than what the customers wants where, whether it's on the horsepower, whether it's on the hydraulic capacity and all of that. And to some extent, we also realized that customers who had highly demanding applications, they found it very useful. They were able to make sense out of it. Right. Quarry applications, mining applications. People have used, whether it's a 20-ton excavator or 30-ton or 50-ton excavator, wherever it's productivity, they straight away go for Volvo because they get the cost per ton. They think cost per ton. Right? They don't think cost of machine. But in the infrastructure space, machines do not work that much. Machines have to operate for some time, then they sit idle, then they wait for the next step of the work before it gets used again. This is a very real application. And when you look at products to be designed for the utility type of work, that is the general construction work, the product needs to be conceptualized differently. But then it still needs to deliver additional value than our competition. So we focused on that additional value, what can we bring to that? And that's why, fuel efficiency is our, has been our USP as Volvo for a long time. We continue to focus despite using Indian, joint venture engine. We have delivered on the fuel efficiency using advanced hydraulic system and packing the machine still with features, but still being able to bring it into the budget of average buyer. That's really the core of this. Yeah. So otherwise, we just launched in the global launch. We launched the EC230 and the electrics and so many other products too.
Since you have a global bird's eye view of what is happening in the Indian market and the global customer base, do you feel India it's difficult to push a seemingly over-spec product in the market? Perhaps that's a reason why there is you need a strong momentum to double or triple your market share. The products are perceived as over-spec. Is that a view globally as well?
Yeah, definitely. What we think and our approach is that for a market like India, there's an absolute need to have a tailored product to the market. And I think the approach where you design a platform which is primarily designed for your mature market and then let's say given to other markets and try to make the best out of it, work to a certain extent. Now with the size of the market, the specific application, I've had the opportunity to visit some quarry activity. It's high usage activity, and customer gets also more and more sophisticated, and we see it as well in India. So the move was for us we need to actually listen to the customer in India, listen to the market in India, and design a machine that is fit for purpose in India, and that's a change in our approach, definitely. And this machine marks for me the the translation of this change in strategy. I mean, 70% local content from a sourcing point of view, manufacturing point of view, but design as well. This machine has been designed here in India, and if we think about some competitors that you referred to in the beginning, I'm not sure that they have this approach. So for me, it's also an argument to our customer. This is a machine which has been designed to meet their specific requirements. So yes, I think having the right product portfolio, the right service as well is super important, and then we can do that from like a one-size-fits-all point of view. Right. So we do it, but we always make sure that we use the modularity approach, so that I talked about during the press conference, because that allows us a scale in terms of volume towards our suppliers, and ease also in terms of scale when we want to go up and down in terms of range.
Right. From a global context, are you happy with the pace of localization in India? How much time the product has taken, for example, the EC series to be localized 70% vis-a-vis the gap to 100 now? The time taken for this transition, are you happy with that?
I mean, it has taken some time, but I'm happy that with this product, we took a jump, because we were below 50% and now we are 70%. This is huge. People need to realize it's a big leap, and of course, it's also our responsibility to work to have the supply base in India. I mean, you talked about it earlier. For some product, we don't have yet the product base in India, and we need to work with our partners and then to also convince them to invest in India, and that's what we are striving to do, and that's what we are doing. So it's a journey, definitely, to close the gap to 100%, and that requires collaboration and partnership across the value chain.
Right. Now, as you are on the verge of optimizing your plant utilization levels, then of course you have spent many plant hours looking at the flows and the layout of the shop floor, etc., etc. So how do you look at the Indian shop floor, and when you look at this capacity augmentation coming in, do you feel it's a well-oiled ecosystem even at the shop floor level?
I think so. We have a very competent workforce, extremely competent when it's about organizing the flows. Lean manufacturing is at its highest. I need to say we have extremely skilled people in designing the flow, designing the work place, planning volume together with our suppliers. So strong connection as well with the suppliers. That's also I need to say. So no, I think we have the competence. We have also the capacity. As we said, we have added another 1,000 capacity with the wheel loader. So I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident from what we have in terms of manufacturing capacity and capability that we can meet the challenge.
Now you have